morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another fine Wednesday morning here in the city of Philadelphia. Welcome to another coffee break chat. I'm your host, James Jackson, he, they pronouns, executive producer, Light Thief Productions. We've got a good show for you this morning, I think so, anyway. What to the slave is the 4th of July? They convert religion into tyranny. Those are two parts of a quote from the famous speech in Rochester, by Frederick Douglass, What to the Slave is the 4th of July, that he gave on July 5th, 1852. In fact, it's interesting that he gave the speech on July 5th because in New York, especially in what is now New York City, the African American folks, the all the way into the 50s and 60s, didn't really celebrate the 4th of July on July 4th because white supremacists would go around different cities, including New York, beating up black folks just randomly on the 4th of July to celebrate Independence Day. So they would save their celebrations for July 5th. So happy July 5th, everybody. We're going to talk about a little bit more about July 5th. We'll talk about the shootings that happened on January 4th or July 4th. It seems like we're going back to old ways there. There were something like 16 mass shootings on July 4th. We're going to talk about the Proud Boys in Philly again on July 3rd. And we're going to talk about 10-year-olds and what they are and aren't allowed to do according to recent Republican rulings and stuff like that. Joyous topics. But I do have a rather joyous person here with me as my special guest. I'm going to welcome onto the screen Kelly McCaughan. Kelly, give everyone your name, your pronouns, what it is you do.
Hello, everybody. I am Kelly McCaughan. I use she and they pronouns. I am an actor, writer, and comedian. And yeah, James and I have worked together a few times with my solo show and other projects. So we've known each other for a bit.
We have known each other for a minute. What you said you had a show coming up soon. What is that?
Yeah, so I am going to be collaborating, excuse me, with Terra Nova Collective. And this is their first production in Philadelphia. It's going to be at the Drake Theater. And they had in the past been stationed in New York City, but now they're kind of, I'm not sure if they're going to be planted now in Philadelphia, but this is their first time producing here. And they are doing a world premiere of a show, which is going to be really exciting. And the show itself is a very whimsical, magical show. Lots of strange things happen. And it's about essentially letting go. And it'll be a really cool ensemble piece with people I've never worked with before. So it'll be cool.
Awesome. It's an ensemble. Do you know any of the other actors yet?
I had a workshop about a month ago where I did meet one of the people I will be collaborating with. And it was awesome because at the end of it, we were like, wow, we should stay in touch. And the person who facilitated the workshop, we were trying to get all of each other's contact information, but they never followed up. So I was like, oh man, I'll just run into them when I run into them. And then I saw that they were on the cast list. So that's one person. So that's exciting. And then the other people I've seen, there's one person I saw do something at Cannonball Fest, I believe last September. So I recognized them, but the rest of the people I have not met or even worked with. So it'll be a brand new group of people.
So is this devised or is it written already?
It's already written. So yeah, it's a fully written play. I know that they've done some readings in other places. I believe they did one in Portland and maybe New York, but this is the world premiere of like the fully staged play. My cat is crying. I'm gonna let her in really quick.
Okay. The joys of producing stuff at home. Yeah, I just had mine in my lap, and I just kicked her off. But
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But I'd rather her be in here with me and annoying rather than outside crying. So,
right, right.
um, but yeah, it'll be a really cool collaboration, and yeah, it's their first time in Philly, so it'll be exciting for them.
Cool. And you said that's coming to the Drake in August?
Yes, it'll be the Drake. It's going to be the last 2 weekends in August. There's 8 shows total. And yeah, it'll be the weekend, I believe, of the 22nd and then following weekend of like the 28th.
Awesome.
But they have like a Thursday show. So it's like Thursday through Sunday. So there's 8 total.
Awesome. Um, what else was I going to ask? Oh, so until recently, I've worked on a lot of shows that were devised or described as devised. For those that don't know what devised versus fully scripted is, would you give us a brief overview of what that means to you? Because I've had a lot of different descriptions of it, and I'm gonna try and mess with your audio because you're coming in a little bit quiet for folks at home.
Oh, okay. Did you want me to do some mic test?
No, 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 no. Just talk about what devised means to you.
Yeah, so my understanding of devised theater is having an ensemble of people that create something from the ground up together. Um, Usually you'll have a prompt and or a subject matter that you're tackling or working with, and you'll bounce ideas off of each other. Everything is created together as a group of people from scratch. That's what devising is, as far as I see it and understand it. It's a brand new creation.
And so this is fully scripted. So what are the like? I know you've worked on a lot of the devised pieces. I've worked on a lot of them. I've also worked on a lot of fully scripted pieces. What are the differences in your experience with working on a devised piece versus working on a new piece that is fully scripted?
I mean, yeah, I mean, though it's interesting because a lot of the shows I've done that are fully scripted are such ensemble pieces where it's like, it's very ensemble driven. And so I have yet to like do like a two-hander based in like realism, or like I tend to end up in a lot of projects that are, oh, there's my cat. I tend to end up in a lot of projects that are, ensemble driven. And I feel like, the main difference is what I really love about the devised work is you're doing it together. You're creating this. It's a very creative, collaborative process. Theater obviously is already very collaborative, but the devising aspect is just really fulfilling because you're creating this thing together and you have such a hand in what the end product is because you're literally creating it. And like, for example, like the last big devised piece I did was for the 2019 Fringe Festival with Michael Osinski with his company, The Antidote. And I mean, it was basically our love letter to David Lynch. It was like, a David Lynch themed show. And I mean, we just created that baby from scratch. And it was, over a year process. There is my cat.
She's shown you a lot of love.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let her do her thing. But yeah, uh, we worked on that for like over a year, and so it's a lot longer of a process usually than a regular scripted play because you have to create it from nothing. And so that's the main difference. Is just the time it takes to put it all together. It's a lot of work, usually, depending on who you're working with. Some people know exactly, um, they have a very clear idea of where they're going with things, so you can like end up curating pretty quickly. But yeah. Well, did you hear that?
Yeah, yeah. She's being cute.
She can't make up her mind. She cries when she's outside, and then she cries when she's inside. So I just let her outside again. This will be an ongoing thing for the next however many minutes.
That's fine. I mean, seriously, like everybody's seen my cat's butt, so like it's part of working from home nowadays.
Totally, totally.
Um, what was what else was I gonna ask? Um, your solo piece that we've worked on several times, Catholic Guilt. We An interesting story happened. I lost a babysitter over this piece. I think it's a hilarious story. I'm not upset in any way over losing the babysitter over this piece, but uh, what I mean, I think that's the most extreme reaction I've ever had to a piece that I've worked on. What sort of reactions have you had on some of the stuff that you've worked on?
Well, outside of Catholic guilt or Catholic guilt specifically.
Anything. And what's the most extreme reaction to anything you've worked on? What was the most extreme reaction on anything?
Trying to think.
Yeah, just so folks know the background story. Catholic Guilt is Kelly's coming of age story, I would say, in the Catholic Church, and is not a particularly raunchy or any in any way offensive piece. It's just you talking about being you. Um, what?
Well, no, I was gonna say like because of some of the subject matter and the nature of the way I, execute certain things, it's like could be considered raunchy and or offensive. Um,
I don't know. Maybe I have a bigger range of inoffense, just because like I grew up, you know, with an artist for a mom and
yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, I personally would really wanted people who were still practicing Catholics to see it, and I didn't know how to promote it in such a way that was like just enough information to make people go, "Wow, that looks really cool," And I'm like, and then when they see it, they're like, "Oh," and that's kind of what I wanted. Like, I wanted people to be able to face the truth of things, um, without saying too much. But yeah, that's probably the most that situation with you is probably the thing I've experienced throughout all of the things I've done that has been like a pretty strong reaction. Um, I can't think of anything else really. I mean, and nothing's really happened. Nothing's happened live
Mm.
for me. I've seen other things happen live in other productions where I'm like, whoa. And it's been like really amazing to be a part of that. But I mean, that happened behind the scenes, with your babysitter. And should we say what happened?
Oh, I mean, it's just I had a babysitter. I brought her to a rehearsal, and she later texted my wife that she was quitting, because she
Because
was
of the nature of the show, and she didn't agree with or feel comfortable
she
with.
felt uncomfortable being quote unquote put in that situation. Um, I don't know. I think. I think I give people too much credit for self-awareness and self ability to like self determine Is that the word I'm looking for? Like, okay, so when I go into a situation and I get uncomfortable, either I leave the situation, or if I'm going to put up with it, I don't get mad at the other people in the situation because they subjected me to that situation. I subjected myself to that situation at that point.
100%. Everyone has agency.
Right. Um,
Um,
but
yeah.
but uh, uh, you know, she was a college student, early college student, so maybe mid 20s. I guess there's a difference in agency at that age, especially in modern as in the last, 15, 20 years, um, time span of learning self-agency and learning to self-actualize. I mean, I'm in my 40s. I'm still learning to self-actualize sometimes, but yeah, there's
I mean, I also have to say that she was, I mean, also on the job. So she really didn't have too much leeway with, you know, I'm sure she didn't want to leave her job in the middle of her job while watching her child. So there's that component, I think, is an important thing to acknowledge. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I don't know, but yeah, it was brought, like I described as best I could the show before we went to rehearsal and gave her the option of going or not.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's where I would think the agency comes in, like, like that's the point of decision making. And yeah, once you're in the situation, it's tough to change course. I could see that. But also there was no objection in the moment, and that's kind of important too, to like voice your own concerns in the moment, especially when, when there's space for you to do that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not the best judge of this. I guess. I feel it was an extreme reaction. Um, but it's hard because you always try, as an artist, you always try to place yourself in the other person's shoes. If for no other reason than to just understand a type of character that you have never been, um, and to understand where people are coming from. So yeah, I don't know. But it's just interesting. To me, the extremes people will react with, rather than, I think that a lot of people who are used to expressing themselves as artists, um, tend to express themselves in little bits, before, and tend to self censor, and also not express themselves in violent extremes, or in extremes of any sort of way. Like, you know, not only are we brought up with the culture of the show must go on, and like, you can't abandon a project in the middle, but we also are constantly expressing ourselves, and I guess letting off that valve. Um, um, so, like, even our most drastic shows, even something like Catholic Guilt, where you're from your perspective, you're saying it could be raunchy, or um, what's the other word we just used? Um,
I don't know. Offensive.
Offensive. That's the word. Where you're saying it could be offensive. Like, I wouldn't. It's not something that would cause somebody a violent reaction, right? Like, nobody would think of it as violence. I don't think. I don't think anybody could say that.
I don't think so. But I do think that if I piss someone off enough, like they could have an intense.
They could have a violent reaction to it, but your presentation isn't violence in and of itself.
No, but it could be considered sacrilegious for sure.
Okay. Um, hmm.
For people who are hyper religious and or practicing Catholic, they could be, I mean, like
They could be
someone who is,
offended.
what's up?
They could be offended.
For sure.
Um, anyway, what I'm getting at is like I think like the work that we do as artists it means that we tend to react less violently or slower to things in general, or with less extreme. Um, and I think that a lot of the problem leading to things like the mass shootings on the 4th. That was the day before yesterday. There were 16 mass shootings. I'm trying to find somebody covered this really well this morning, um, and I'm trying to find it their post. But anyway, across the nation, there were a bunch of mass shootings. Even here in Philadelphia, there was a shooting of two police officers during a Fourth of July celebration. Not only was there the mass shooting in a wealthy white neighborhood, there were mass shootings in almost every type of neighborhood across the country. And you know, I wonder if that the lack of perceived ability or ability to um, express problems or express or go through problems in your head. Um, there's no like conservative outlet for this other than like say Fox News. Like Fox News is like pretty much the creative conservative outlet right now. In a funny way, like it's like conservative theater, like like it's where everybody goes. Their most
And what,
wild,
Tommy Lahren?
huh?
Tommy
Oh
Lahren.
yeah, no, she's Tammy's the best. No, but I mean, like seriously, like like if you look at Fox News coverage of almost anything, like it's to the point where it's they're really taking on that entertainment moniker, and um, it's wild imaginings, like QAnon is wild imaginings, and um, people are saying that like these expressions are leading people to violent action, but perhaps it's also a relief valve. I don't know. Like as liberals and progressives, artists often get to have that relief valve of saying what we want to say without needing to resort to uh, antisocial or anti-societal things to do it. Um, and I wonder if that's not part of the problem. If providing a greater access to arts and expression wouldn't help resolve some of this stuff. Um,
I wish I had an answer.
yeah, I wish I had an answer too. It would be nice. We I mean, I don't know. I think of these things as an artist all the time, and I just wonder, I wonder about them, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get a good answer, um, or a satisfactory answer, or something that makes me feel like I know what's going on in some sort of way. At any rate, uh, there was a lot of talk about not celebrating July 4th. I don't know if you were privy to any of that.
I did. I,
Um, g-
yeah.
You celebrated July 4th, or you just heard
Oh, I
participated in
definitely did not celebrate anything. I was alive for it, but I didn't celebrate anything. I don't know if we're talking about the same thing, but I was thinking and talking about the not purchasing or buying anything for 3 days straight.
Uh-huh.
Did you hear anything about that?
I did hear about that.
I'm sorry?
I did, yes.
Yeah, so like that's the only thing that I was really aware of. I ended up in Pittsburgh over the weekend. I was supposed to have gone this weekend coming up, but this past weekend worked out better for everyone's schedule. So I ended up in Pittsburgh visiting with my family. And I mean, my sister and I, we were just like, there will be no celebrations of anything. Like, if anyone invites us anywhere, like, we're just not, like, we're just actually not doing anything except for like spending time with each other, like on our vacation. Like, 4th of July has nothing to do with any of this, and it will not be acknowledged at all.
Hmm.
It's just a fucking joke. Can I swear? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, you can.
Um,
We're not on. We're broadcasting, but we're not on broadcast TV, so it's fine.
okay. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to celebrate. It's a fucking disaster.
Yeah, I mean, and it.
There's never been anything to celebrate, but like, especially now, I'm just kind of like disgusted, as I'm sure everyone is. But
I just
ooh,
it's amazing how quickly things have taken a turn for um, to where almost everyone has a unless you're white and male and uh, religious, almost everyone has a beef with something that the government's done recently, um, and it's just amazing how quickly that has come about, how quickly we've gotten to that point. Um, I wonder if if this was like a trial balloon, like because like there's the theory that in the march towards fascism, you kind of you make things egregious, and then before that has time to settle in, you make them even more egregious, so that like the last thing that was egregious doesn't
it's
even
not. It's
doesn't
yeah.
register. Um, so I wonder, like I wonder if like I don't necessarily wonder what's next. I think the Supreme Court has really telegraphed what their next moves are, which is to completely deregulate industry, and kind of remove all the consumer protections that have been put in place across the history of the country. Um, I mean, like what's next? We're gonna be eating. People did die in the before there was FDA. There was tainted meat and other products. There was interestingly, one of the reasons we use clear packaging nowadays so frequently, glass or clear plastic, is because before the FDA, that was one of the ways that producers used to try and say that their products were safe. Is they were showing you the products. They were like, no, look here's potted meat, but it's not bad. It's good.
There's something strange going on in the food industry right now. I mean, there's strange shortages. I'm not listen, I'm not going down a conspiracy. I'm not like I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just I mean, everything's there's a lot going on. And I'll just give like one small example of something I just was like reading about. The pollen increase recently. I
Hmm.
don't know if anyone's like been like there's been pollen is really 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 bad apparently. I'm not as affected as others, but I know people who have allergies are like, what is going on? And I read this thing that this woman said that pollen specifically comes from male trees, and the female plants produce the fruit. So there is more male trees at the moment because they want to reduce the amount of fruit and food being produced.
Well, I mean, over the course of the really from like the 60s on, whenever there was a tree planting campaign, um, they would plant only male trees, like in cities and stuff. They would plant only male trees because they're,
It would be too available for people and they wouldn't be able to pay for the.
not only that, but like there's a lot of complaints too. Like if you had a fruit producing tree, um, it would get all over cars and sidewalks and stuff.
Okay.
Um,
Well, there's that. I mean, I just thought that was an interesting thing that they said. I was like, wait, what? Like,
I mean,
but I also, nothing surprises me anymore, unfortunately. Like nothing would make me go, really? Like I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that reads. Like everything, there's so much crazy shit happening that I just unfortunately like am not as reactive to anything things as I used to be. Like I
well, I think that's like I said, I think that is part of what being an artist allows us kind of the space to slow down and react to things a little bit more.
to unpack and yeah.
Yeah. We also build those tools as part of our artistry. Like you build the tool of kind of analyzing something um, as part of your artistry, as part of learning to play characters, to analyze a script, to as part of you know analyzing any work of art. You tend to um, learn to unpack things and kind of just really delve into them and try and get I don't know how to describe it better, but like like get to the heart of them.
No, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a skill that a lot of people don't have. Um, and I think it's an important skill. Um, and unfortunately, I don't think it gets built outside of the artistic community very often. Oh, this is one of the other things that I wanted to talk about. It just popped up on my while I was searching. Um, uh, Mayor Kenny is under fire because he said he'll be happy when he's not mayor anymore. After folks called for him to resign uh, after the shooting of the two police officers on the Parkway. Um, Alan Dom, council member Alan Dom, posted to Twitter, Philadelphia is in a crisis and needs a mayor who wants the job and all its responsibilities. It's beyond time for Phil Mayor, which is just tagging Jim Kenney, to resign for the good of the city and its residents. Um, I mean, if your primary comment when two police officers get shot under your watch is you can't wait to not be the mayor. I think maybe you should resign. I mean, what are you doing anymore? You have this power. Um, um, his the full quote is, "I'm waiting for something bad to happen all the time. I'll be happy when I'm not mayor and I can enjoy some stuff. I mean, welcome
I
to the
saw
club,
that.
Kenny. We're all waiting for bad stuff to happen all the time.
What a disgustingly like privileged, horrendous thing to say.
Right? Exactly. Like,
Like, what a disgusting. I'll be ready to resign so I can enjoy some stuff. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, yeah, it's weird. It's fucking weird.
I mean, like, how do you even, I don't know, like, why do you run for mayor if you don't want the,
Yeah, dude.
the
You know what you
job?
signed up for.
I don't know, I don't get it. Like,
Kind of weird. Yeah. I I saw that. I like, like I said, I got back from Pittsburgh yesterday and I was like catching up on everything. So honestly, I had my phone like shut off for a lot of the time that I was in Pittsburgh. So I was like, nope, 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 nope. Not, like I was just like not doing any social media shit.
uh-huh.
Um, except for a yeah, like I saw a lot of the stuff when I got back, like the details of things. And I obviously, unfortunately, heard about Illinois when I was in Pittsburgh. Jesus Christ. Anyway, but yeah, I like just caught on to everything. Started reading stuff yesterday about Philadelphia specifically, and I saw that, what he said. Like, I'll be happy. I'm waiting for something bad to happen all the time, and I'll be happy when I can enjoy some stuff. It's like, shut the fuck up.
How do you even, like, I mean, everybody's always trying to find a way to decompress and enjoy some stuff, but like,
It's your job, dude.
like you took the job. You ran for mayor. You got elected. You organized a bunch of people behind a platform, and decided that you wanted to be mayor. And now you can't wait till you're not mayor because you want to enjoy some stuff. Like, seriously, like, I've got a lot of shit to do for work too. Like, and I don't run a city. I just run a business.
What a lazy response. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
it was a very bizarre thing to
When
say.
you take on a job, you take on certain responsibilities, and part of those responsibilities. Like, I had a conversation with somebody who works for me the other day, and they're just working for me, and they were so concerned about their job performance that they were hyperventilating and getting all up in their own feelings because they didn't want to do a bad job. Like how I how are there that vast a difference in people that when you're doing a bad job you like are so concerned about it that you get upset versus like you're doing a bad job and it's causing you more aggravation, so you just say, oh, I can't wait till I'm not in this job anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, that just we don't have to get into it, but I mean, I'm just thinking of the person who said that and thinking that like they have obviously past trauma from something and need reassurance and all that. And everyone has different insecurities for whatever reason.
But
But
I mean, like, like even setting aside, like their reaction, the person who works for me's reaction, my reaction as the person who runs the business is to be concerned now. Like, I have to. This is now part of like my life. This is something I have to react to.
yeah, and be like, do I have to keep an eye out? Yeah.
Like, it's I can't just say, oh, like, great. Well, I guess I could say, oh, great, quit. But like that that would be a shitty way to do things, and also I would run out of employees really fast.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, I know this came out of the Mayor Kenny thing, but back to him really quick. It just feels like what a way to not get people on board with you.
Right? No, that's what
Like,
I'm saying. Like,
what a way to like not make people feel safe and where they like it's just so yeah. Yeah.
I wish I could remember who this is that I'm looking for that wrote this this morning. Um, I just can't find it. But anyway,
About what subject matter?
they wrote up a really great rundown of the shootings over the weekend, um, with a bunch of facts, and it's quite interesting. I can't, and facts go out of my brain really fast, so it's always nice to have something to refer back to. Um, at any rate, it's just I'm not finding it. Anyway, um, so obviously the Highland Park shooting ended up being the biggest in the news. That area is well known for film set film sets as far as um, you know houses and locations that people use for characters houses in films. It's one of the top, I think, 15% in income of the United States as far as a area. It's predominantly white. It is pretty well diverse, but it is predominantly white. Um, and the Fourth of July celebration was attended predominantly by white folks. Um, and yet, the person who decided to commit the violence that day is a white supremacist. Has been a fan of Trump for a long time. Um, has um, anti-Jewish posts in his social media, and also follows some anti-Semitic groups from Finland, um, which is that's the other part of Highland Park. It's a lot of there's a big Jewish population. At any rate, this took over the news, and obviously, was the biggest reported story. Um, but almost all of the recent mass shootings, in fact, I could probably safely say all of the recent mass shootings have been committed by white supremacists or people who believe in white supremacy or the advancement of white people over other people. And there's still things like on Saturday, the Proud Boys, which is a self-described white male European chauvinist organization, aka white supremacists, came to Philly and marched around Philly unimpeded. I mean, like, why do we, why was there not a violent, like, police interdiction into those folks marching around Philly, instead of just letting them march around?
Because they're like buds with the police.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know the answers to these questions sometimes. I just,
Right. I didn't hear about that. I didn't know they were marching around Philly on Saturday.
Yeah, apparently they marched around Philly a bit, and then they were marching towards. There was also a demonstration, a pro-choice demonstration, um, somewhere in downtown Philly, and they started marching that direction. But apparently, some of the organizers were warned that if they did approach the pro-choice demonstration, that they would be arrested. because that's just they were like, yeah, no, that's definitely going to cause violence, and you're not going to do that today. Uh,
That could have been really, really bad.
so yeah, they ended up getting on. Uh, ended up getting on Patco. Apparently, they parked in South Jersey, but then they were smoking on the train, so Patco cops stopped them and ticketed them. Um, One of the comments is funny. Apparently, smoking is worse than terrorism, because they got ticketed, but
For that,
for
but not.
yeah, but
Wow.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. So, also they were open carrying weapons, which is until recently, Philadelphia had some of the strictest gun laws in the country. You could not open carry, but
It's
now,
so fucking scary.
thanks to the Republican legislature in the state house, you can open carry in Philadelphia. Um, I don't know. As a black person, I'm fine with that. Personally, I'm all for actually all of us black folks and people of color arming ourselves and open carrying every day. Um, Go for it. I'm good with that. I'll see. We'll see what happens when we all start carrying around AR-15s on our shoulders. Um, anyway. Uh, Yeah, so that happened. And then from the Thursday, Friday news, right after the broadcast last week, a 10-year-old girl in Indiana uh, was seeking an abortion because she was impregnated, which is rape. I don't care, like what you want to say. If she's 10, she was raped. If she's 10 and pregnant, she was raped. Um, anyway, she was seeking an abortion, and the court said no and said to look at it as an opportunity. The reaction publicly was an opportunity to what? Die? Because carrying a child to full term at the age of 10 is something like 80% fatal. Um, and then, even should she survive carrying a child to term at age 10, um, what's the rest of that life look like? She has to do childcare um, uh, in, what is that? What grade is that even?
It's like third grade.
Uh, 10. 12 is 7th, so 5th grade. Yeah, 5th grade. Um, yeah.
Why did I read Ohio? Where is
Is
Ohio
it is
coming
it
from?
Ohio?
I think it was
And
Ohio.
she was going to Indiana, or
I think that's right.
yeah. At any rate, yeah. So she went across state lines, I guess to Indiana, where they're in the middle of trying to pass abortion restriction laws, universal abortion restriction laws that would also block her from getting an abortion there. But uh, you know, it's right now, so she was able to get an abortion there.
I'm just never not blown away by the lack of empathy.
I mean, at what point? I mean, in this case, I'm blown away by the lack of like logic, like even
Yeah.
simple logic. Like, where, in what way, in what universe is a 10-year-old being pregnant a good thing. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
it,
look, like I'm not worried about people like me, okay? I'm worried about the people who are going to be affected the most.
I mean,
And
I'm worried about people like you. I don't have any say in what you choose to do.
I understand, I appreciate that, but like
I mean, that's how you protect the people who will be affected the most. Is the people who affected the least have to have choice just as freely as the people who are affected the most. There shouldn't be a litmus test for, who has a choice to do or not do something.
it's just so deeply rooted in racism and wanting to preserve whiteness. And I'm thinking about like how, it's like this uproar. And if yes, it's justified. It's justified, but like Black women in particular, like, are they like, why they can't catch a fucking break? And I just feel like to have to see all of these, like, all of us white women being like, oh, my rights are being like it's just that alone is just
I mean, there was this kind of this is a recurring theme, like the recurring theme of folks coming to the realization suddenly that like, oh, this march towards patriarchal tyranny is going to affect me. I mean, it's such a recurring theme that there are famous poems about it. The first they came for the women, yeah, but I said nothing. I wasn't a woman. I don't think that's actually the first line of the poem, but I don't recall the order of it. But it's universally true. It's how things have always happened. It's how things will always happen, because the only way, as a minority portion of the society, to take over the society or enshrine your dominance over the society as white men, as cisgender white men, is to divide the rest of society into small enough increments that you can give them all different goals and kind of convince one section of society that, oh, I'm not going to bother you. The unspoken part is until I'm done bothering this other group. Um, at any rate, yeah. I mean, like there is and even um, in the civil rights movement, there was discussion, because during the civil rights movement, there was also feminism was coming about, and there was women's rights movement at the exact same time, and there was a lot of discussion amongst leaders of both, as to how much the goals were the same and how much the goals were different, and what should have more attention and more money, because for some reason people constantly think of these as finite resources. At any rate, but yeah, that where were you last week kind of sentiment has always been there. Um, I don't know. I'm here for all people who are oppressed, and like,
no,
uh,
I shouldn't have said like I'm not worried about people like me. I'm worried about all of us. I'm most worried about people that aren't like me.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important. I think what's important for white women is to realize how much of a voice that they have as a group, and understand that, like, like, they are that 60% of society that is pro-choice. I've known practicing devout Catholics who are like, yeah, I love Catholicism, but I don't care how many times my preacher says it. I'm not going to. I'm pro-choice. Like, there is a time and place for this decision to be made by me as a woman rather than by somebody else who isn't me. Um,
Yeah. No, yeah.
and
I'm worried about all of us.
I think it. I don't know. I've said it constantly. None of us is free until we're all free. I think it's important to. I don't even. There's a thing in kind of lefty progressive organization where people get very cliquish and very block people who they consider outsiders. Um, and I'm still searching for an inclusive group that includes everybody as they're trying to organize, because it's very hard to find organized groups who want to do things in a way that makes sense to me, which is just to include everybody, and worry about the semantics as you accomplish your goals. Don't exclude people just because they said something that you don't agree with. Talk to them about it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I've been accused of worse. Um, at any rate, it's been a good conversation. Thank you for coming on, Kelly. I'm sorry to you're such a jovial person, and you are a comedian, an excellent comedian, as well as being an excellent thinker and theater maker. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to have fun. It's been a serious conversation today, but sometimes life is serious. So
I think it's necessary, and I'm glad we talked about these things. And yeah, I'm glad we did.
yeah, yeah. I think hopefully we'll have some less serious or more fun things to talk about in the near future. As your show comes up in August, let's have you back on once you have some dates and stuff to promote about it. And yeah, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah,
Um,
for having me.
I am gonna go to a one up of just me, and feel free to hang out until I'm done talking, and we can catch up. Or if you gotta go, you gotta go. That's fine too. But I'm gonna go to a one up of me. Any last thoughts?
Um, there's so much I could say. Um,
The world is your oyster.
too much. This is too much. Um, I'll just say thank you for now.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. All right. So thanks also to my audience. Thank you for joining us every week. This show is important to produce, and I'm just trying to build a platform where people who don't necessarily get to talk all the time get the chance to talk, and bring their own perspectives. Join us again next week, Wednesdays, 10 a.m. We're here live, or catch up with us on the recording. If you don't have the chance to watch live at 10 a.m., it's on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and Mobcrush. And you can watch any of the recordings any of those places. Please, hit the like button wherever you're watching it. Give us a little bit of promotion that way. And share it with your friends. If you find any moments of poignance or import, please feel free to share it, and let us know what you think. If you like the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. We have patron levels as little as $1 a month, and patreon.com/LateThiefProductions helps us bring you these stories, whether you support us that way or just by watching us. So yeah, tune in next week, folks. We'll have another fine guest for you, some more current events, and we'll talk to you then. Enjoy the rest of your week.